The most expensive coffee in the world can cost more than $600 per pound. The feces, yes, I said feces, of an Asian palm civet is used to make one of the most sought after types of coffee called Kopi Luwak. Well, they got the pronunciation right on that. Also known as cat poop coffee. The coffee is made from coffee cherries that have been eaten, digested, and then pooped out by the mammal. The beans are then cleaned and processed. God, I hope they're cleaned well. I'm not a barista and I'm not serving up any cup of joe. However, I am serving up one hell of a great guest on the show today. Sercio, welcome to Epic Starts.
Awesome, EP. Thanks for having me. And just as a side note, I used to own a coffee shop and long time ago, and my co-founder loves coffee. So there's another show that we could do.
That's got to be like a requirement for in the startup life. You have to love that coffee because you're doing some pretty late nights and some pretty early mornings taking conference calls from anywhere on the planet. How are you feeling, man? Are you feeling it today? I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I am. I had about 2 cups of Trader Joe's cold brew. Had some great meetings. Just coming off an awesome week last week with the whole team. We all executed, and I think something. And if I can, it was an unbelievable experience because we've closed deals, we've had features come out, but even when I think about what I'm about to say, it makes the hair on my arm stand up. Our team, small, about 9 people, just executed and killed it last week. And
okay, well, hold on.
It showed
about
that. Yeah.
There's the tease. Hold that. Seriously, are you my
yes.
brochacho?
I am.
Well, alrighty then. You heard it from the man. Sercio is here. My name is EP, and Epic starts right now. All right, so you had the tease, you had us hanging. Bring me into it. What's the excitement? What's giving you the gooses on the arms?
Yeah, I think as a team, everybody was executing. When we got to our daily huddles, they're 15 minutes. Everybody was doing it, but throughout the week we have peppered customer calls, and every call was just great. We're nailing the metrics across the board.
Nice.
We brought in this new customer success manager, Stephanie, who's been a godsend. I mean, I can't even tell you. She's changed the tone in the direction that I feel that we're going in.
Mm-hmm.
And Friday came around, and it was just good news. I'm coming off of that week, and we're continuing the momentum. But yeah, no, it's quite a feeling to see us execute as a team.
So we're going to get into the team. We're going to get into the execution.
Yeah.
I want to tell a little backstory, as I always do. The backstory with you is it is epic.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to know, I'm approached by many people that want to come onto the show. I'm picking up some speed now, which is great. And when I meet people for the first time, founders, co-founders, CEOs, I'm always asking questions when I'm kind of like interviewing them when I'm getting to know them. Like, are you a game changer? Are you doing something that's significantly going to change an industry or a slice of the cake? Or a slice of the bigger cake, if you will, or pie. But with what you're doing, like, I know your partner. I want to make sure we give some mad props for Scott. I knew what Scott was doing. Well, let me rephrase that. I got to talk with Scott when he was like down in the basement. This is during COVID. He was in his apartment, and he was building something. And I was kind of like giving him some advice, thinking, is he doing what I think he's doing? And for the Frankenstein to get up on its own, walk up the stairs with the help of Sercio and Scott, that is now out in public for the world to go, if you're a salesperson, if you're a sales leader, get your ears close to this episode. So take us through, what is AMPED? What are you guys doing? What are you doing to change the world? Let's hear the goods.
Yeah, we are the first enterprise social B2B platform. And what that means is that we give organizations the ability to do outreach at scale through a social platform like LinkedIn. And we make it so easy that companies just come to us, plug in, We do campaigns out to prospects, and all the responses come in through their native tools like Slack or Microsoft Teams. We're not reinventing the front end. We want everybody to use those same tools. But the impact, in summary, is a 36% engagement across the board,
Wow.
across all our customers.
36% is already a proven early fact out of a good data set. So
Yeah.
wait, so take us through that. Double click on 36. What does that represent?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is we'll work with the executive team. We have the whole company do outreach on LinkedIn, C-suite down. So if you're the CEO, you need to be prospecting. If you're the VP of sales, connect with all your deals. If you're customer success engineering, build community. And so what we do is we build these networks on behalf of the company through their employees. Through the outreach, people reply, people engage in conversations. So what's happened over the last 30 years is you, me, and every other vendor in the space have eroded trust. So nobody picks up their phones, nobody reads emails. And for the first time in a long time, we have an ability to reset trust, and we can do it through social. So we do this for companies, and we show them, okay, now that you're building relationships, your customers will organically start to raise their hands and say, hey, I'm interested. Or if it's a subject matter that you're building your solution around, bring it up. They'll talk about it. Let them be your community. Everybody's focused today on the company building community, that we need to build community. In reality, your customers, your prospects will do it on their own if you give them an opportunity. And so that's what we're doing right now with a lot of the companies. And we have the technology to scale this. And that's really making an impact across all those companies.
So first of all, you said something earlier about email and phone calls not being the number one bullet anymore. I mean, cold calling is not dead. Okay. I know that for a fact because my previous life startup was the best that I had yet in terms of the results. And so it was a matter of me finding the right tweaks. It's hard to get somebody to answer the phone, and you better be good. So that's one. Number two, email. Email is so hard to get somebody to respond to. Again, you need to do it. It needs to be another gun another bullet in the gun, so to speak. But you better be good. It better not be long. It better not be filled with links. It better not have attachments. Come on, guys. I mean, cyber. You're never going to get me to open that. But it better be short. It can be concise. It better be about me, which turns to the third one, which is social. The reason why I know social, and this is why LinkedIn is always the number one bullet for everyone in sales, is because, hey, Sercio, I see Sercio and I were just doing this in the green room before we started. Sercio's got a contact. I'm like, hey, I need an intro to that guy. Can you help me get an introduction? I need to rely on Sercio, or I need to rely on somebody in LinkedIn that I found that Sercio knows. But you're taking it to the next level. This is the game changing. It's not, I think, I don't want to put words out there. I think it's not just LinkedIn that you're using social media. I know LinkedIn is the core, and how you're automating LinkedIn to work to where, let's pretend I'm a CEO right now of a big tech company. Forget about that. A 500 employee tech company. And what I have is a lot of connections. What I don't have is a very large sales team. You have a solution where you can help me take advantage of all those contacts, those connections that I have, to get them to think that I'm reaching out to them, me up to all hours of the night reaching out and sending messages to them. But they do believe it's me. And then I wake up the next day and you've got 1, 3, maybe 7 meetings set for me to actually get on the phone and do and take forward. Am I warm? Am I hot?
You got it. You're absolutely on point. And then in addition to just your inbox, all those messages will come in through Slack.
Integration. Look at that.
So what this does is it simplifies the process of having everybody do outreach. Not everybody needs to reply. So you assign replying. We call them a social outreach manager. It's a new role, and this person is really there to have conversations with their prospects through social. So you have 10 people doing outreach. All the responses come in through Slack, and you can reply through Slack on behalf of other people's LinkedIn accounts.
So seriously, I I look at messages on LinkedIn sometimes and I go, God, this is a bot. This is a
Mhm.
bot.
Mhm.
And so how do you overcome that challenge? Well, first of all, if I heard you correctly, you're not using bots. You have
Yep.
real people sending real messages via Slack, but it's coming to me through LinkedIn. Did I hear that right?
Well, yeah, not totally. So we have some companies want automation, some companies don't. It depends on what their stance is.
Okay.
If their stance is we want to be LinkedIn compliant, fine, we'll do it manually.
Okay.
Most companies are let's do automation. It's cheaper, it's easier. We're not going to get our hands that. Either way, all the responses will come in through Slack.
Wow.
And so what that does is just funnels everything for you to reply. And then how do we get past that noise? I think was the question. It takes there's a methodology to this. It takes a little bit of acclimation for companies to understand the LinkedIn dialect,
Yes.
the cadence,
Yes.
the pregnant pauses. So being able to know the timing for the right role that you're going after, the title, is it too soon? Is it too fast? And what we're doing on the back end is collecting all this data so that when we get an investment, we're going to have an AI ML engine that would tell you, hey, EP, you're reaching out to the CISO. You should actually wait for Thursday to reach out to him. And you know what? Don't follow up for another 2 weeks because if you reply too fast, he's not going to reply.
Seriously, were you ever a BDR like at the beginning?
Oh, I started my career that way. So,
right. And
yeah.
Me, you, your partner Scott. Give Scott some props. His last name.
Oh, Scott Wright. Yeah.
So Scott is never wrong. He's always right. We've all been there. In fact, Scott was actually building the BDR team when I was with them back in the day. And when he introduced to me what he was doing, I was like, no one's cracked this nut.
Mhm.
Nobody has hacked the system yet. But when the first people do figure this out, and there's been a lot of them that I've seen that have tried, this is going to be hot. So when I met up with you a few months back and you told me the success that you guys have had already, you guys haven't even taken any significant funding yet. You guys have already got a number of customers where I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing is going, you said a word earlier, scale. That was the key thing I said to Scott way back in the day. I said, whatever you do, always make sure that you can build this to scale, because what he was showing me, again, prototype, was not something that could scale. In fact, it was, we were going to, I think the VP of sales was getting ready to order like 6 or 7 laptops for the different accounts he was going to have. And I'm like, this is a hacker experiment and a half. But that's how great startups start. So I love what you guys are doing. So talk to me about, is this your first baby? Is this your first startup?
Yep, it is.
So, and obviously you're working with Scott. What are some of the feelings that you had taking the leap, leaving the regular 9 to 5 and now working 12 to 12? What was something, talk to us about, what that experience was all about?
When we got our first customer, it was a huge validation for us, because then our customer, fortunately and unfortunately, their only buyer was the CISO. And so you know how tough it is to get to the CISO. We were the number one lead generation platform for them. And so we're in year 2. We're doing things that are out of this world with that company right now when it comes to social. We're actually using social at every stage of the customer life cycle: lead gen, sales process, and community. So we're building this all through LinkedIn in scale for this company. But beyond that, when we started there, I said, okay, 1 customer, that's good. 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got to 6. When we got to 6 within a span of, I think it was like 3.5 months, I said, you know what, I got to quit. I got to do this full time.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my wife.
She was freaking out.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
My wife's the kind of woman that doesn't show a crack, tough woman, great mom, great wife, just tough. You can't really break her. You can't.
Yeah.
She's really. I could tell there was a little bit of like
stress.
What are we gonna do?
Where are the checks coming from, honey? You got to bring in the bread. You got bills to pay, kids to college. I get it.
I told her, listen, give me a year. Give me a year. If we can get funding, if I can prove this model out, I get the right advisors, this is going to be pretty big. And so she gave in, and I made the jump. And ever since, I haven't looked back. I mean, there's moments as any founder, and I'm sure you feel this as well, of uncertainty, but they just come and go. Like it could be in the shower, or it could be drink, and you're just like, and then you get back into the mode, and then you're just in it. So,
well, it's like, I mean, Seriously, if it was super easy, everybody would do it. And I think last year alone in 21, there was 72,000 startups. I like to talk about the facts of the startup life because it sounds good. It looks fun. I got a great idea, but to actually go execute, to actually get the right partner. I just did a recording with Chris Reese. He's got a company called Sphere One, and I loved what he said. He just shared out how he needed a reliable partner, and he feels really good that he has actually already tripped and fallen with a previous startup with that same partner. It's so many things. It's the partner, it's the execution, it's having the technology, obviously, that actually works, that can scale, and it also has to do with those around you. I already know some of the people in your circle that have got loads of sales experience and executive leadership experience, and I know that they're helping shape AMP to go in the right direction. Talk to us a little bit about that in terms of like your corner.
Yeah. So what was really important, the first thing that we did was get technical validation. We have a Uber engineering manager is now the VP of IT for a company called Cookies. We told him what we were doing. He said, do it. Then we went to the former CIO of Uber, gentleman, Chris Cravens, and then the other guy is Luis Madrigal. Both of them said they did introductions. They introduced us to our first customers. Once we started proving that out technically and saying like, this is how we envision, then John Donnelly, who was my boss at two companies, introduced me to, I owe 3/4 of my career to John Donnelly.
JD.
So I have that Donnelly, the DNA from him. So I appreciate it.
The Boston DNA, or the Bay Area DNA. There's two different types of DNAs. Yeah, anybody that's worked for Donnelly, he's a fun guy to work with. He's a salesman's manager. He's a good dude.
Yeah, and so we had him sales, and then Hawk. I can't say enough about David Hawk. At first he was a little unsure, and then he started sitting on customer calls. He started seeing what we were doing. He saw the return, and he's on board. He's introduced us to executives at LinkedIn, at Salesforce. We're having discussions with companies at a different stratosphere than we should be at this point.
Yeah, Dave's got a pretty thick, deep black book of names that I'm sure he can help you out with. Let's pivot back over to the tech for a minute. This is something that I haven't had a chance to ask you yet. But and look, I'm kind of like going to the back of the kitchen right now.
Yeah.
And there's a soup, and there's ingredients in that soup, and there's only so much that you're going to be comfortable talking about. Obviously, friendly NDA, is that how it goes? On a public forum. Yeah. So as comfortable as you are, how did you take LinkedIn and get it to perform like a V12 twin turbo when it, for most people out there, performs like a two-stroke engine? How have you been, and at the same time, not only got the most optimization out of it, but you're not breaking any laws, any rules, any violations of LinkedIn?
Yeah, so just from a LinkedIn violation perspective, we don't do automation. We partner with dozens of automation tools. We also partner with Zoom Info. We started discussions with LinkedIn to get their API. So that keeps us in the clear, because what we want to be is the center of data when it comes to your prospects. And LinkedIn just provides a platform for us to communicate. These other tools provide an ability for you to automate. Now, our Slack, our backend, our AI and ML, that's all proprietary. And that's going to be key, because when we look down the road of where we're going, we want people to deploy AMPED across the whole company and make it really easy for them to interact with prospects. And so that's the idea of where we're going with this.
Oh, listen, I mean, great name for the company because you guys are amping up the process. It's 2022, man. Companies that still rely on the old-fashioned traditional methods of trying to get MQLs. God, I see, and you and I have talked about this before, such a large wasted amount of money at the highest level of these companies that they just think that some wizard marketing person is going to come in and leads are going to show up. I mean, no, stop. I mean, you can spend so much money on digital demand, and then there's pay to click. You know, I personally know one of the best search engine optimization guys in the business. I've been building startups for 25 years, and this guy, his team, is incredible at what they do. Your company is going to be incredible, and the partnerships you've already laid out, the integrations, that is going to be the differentiation from AMP with the next 3 or 4 that are going to be coming over your shoulder in the next, and probably happening as we speak. Let's talk about startup life for you. This is your first one. Give me 3 words that best describe the startup life for Sercio Campos.
Success, stress, and a desire to keep going. So drive. So success, stress, and drive. Those three.
What's the difference when your alarm clock goes off now? Probably. What time does your alarm clock go off?
About 5:40.
When your alarm clock goes off at 5:40 today versus where you were a year from today, how much of a difference is it?
Now I'm in charge of people's lives, meaning I got to get them insurance. I got to make them happy. There's all these things around people that I didn't have a concern for before.
Right.
And that's my first thing on my mind is the people, the part of the team, and making sure that they have everything that they need every week.
I mean, listen, you've been in charge of a lot of people, or a good number of people, your family, beforehand. But I get it. It's a different level. It's a different element. I love that. You're showing your humbleness. You're showing your responsibility. I think every owner of every company out there feels that stress. Like, it's not just your decisions trickle down to the whole organization. And that's why it's important for you to have a strong partner that you can have sit down and make some hard decisions. Listen, man, we're in the tail end of the summer of 22 as we're recording this. And we're watching a lot of things happen in our industry. And I say like tech, specifically cyber. There's numbers that are coming out about what next year is going to look like. Well, forget about 23. Let's talk about what's happening here in 22 with layoffs, freezes. You're at the other end of that. You're a company that is growing. You're a company that is lean right now. And I don't know, I'm going to take a stab as far as funding goes. I'm guessing that you're probably kind of shopping out the funding right now and kind of filling out the VC vibe. What's the temperature out there like right now?
Not as frothy as it was when we started the venture. I think, and I've been told by other people, sometimes at that point, it was a lot easier to get money with an idea versus the product and have motion. And so right now, there's still an appetite. There's still conversations are still happening at the early series. If you're a unicorn, you're getting devalued. If you're at the higher end looking for $40-60 million, it's a little tough out there. But on the lower end, there's still opportunity. I do believe that the timeline is shrinking. So if you got something, you got to move quick.
I think your key right now is to stay as lean as you can. I've always been pretty damn good at producing more with less. Once you can build out what is scalable, then you can go to your board and say, look what we've done. We're ready to scale. I need this much. And here's exactly what the dollars are going to go to produce this at a 3x, 10x over the next 5 years.
Mhm.
I mean, I know you already know most of that. And the cool thing, man, is you've got a lot of great advisors
Mhm.
that have built startups and they know
Mhm.
how to, they know what it takes to fail, how to avoid those pitfalls, and communication, man.
Yep.
That's so damn key. Is that you're having that open line of communication with your board, with your partner, and that trickles down to the rest of the team. Talk to me about the epic moment, that one epic moment that you and Scott had.
Yeah.
Was it Scott during COVID? Well, we're still in it. Was it like, him showing you something on a Zoom call? Was it him calling you up and saying, Sergio, I think I just tripped over something that's pretty damn cool? Kind of take us through that lightning in a bottle
It
experiment.
it was kind of like the last, hey, Sercio, come check this out. So a little bit of background. Scott and I worked together at Inside Engines. He was on the BDR side, and we were working to prospect. We uncovered LinkedIn, and I challenged him, hey, if you get a lead off of LinkedIn, I'll pay for your license. He got it. We looked into it, and then I ended up working at a different company. He calls me maybe a quarter or two later, and he says, hey, man, I want to show you how far I've progressed with this stuff. So I go, he comes up to my office, opens up his computer, and he shows me all these charts and pie charts and verticals and accepted connections and the strength of messaging and what kind of impact, all of these variables. And I said, within 30 seconds, I looked at it and I said, this is a business.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I started pitching to as many people like, hey, you got to try this out. You got to try this out. Free POC. Finally, company did a POC and that was it.
That's so cool. He introduced me to you
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And so when I knew you guys were Two Live Crew, I'm like, what a perfect fit, because he has the sales mentality. He knows how your world works,
Mm-hmm.
but he's the wizard down in the weeds with the tech.
Yep.
He's the architect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're the guy that knows how to manage a business and relationships. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, great combination. All right, it is now time to play Find the Epic in You. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. This is for everybody to get to know the epic in Sercio. Number one, where were you born?
Burlingame, California.
Burlingame. For all of you guys trying to do a Google search, it's up north in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Burlingame. Sounds like a very, very fine town of game. All right, where do you live now, dude?
I live in San Mateo, maybe 5 minutes south of Burlingame.
Can't take the boy out of the Bay. Must be the wind. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you got some good food and you got the Warriors up there, so maybe it's one of those two things. All right,
And my wife, yeah.
How long have you been in tech?
It was for some reason I had thought, oh, I've been in this thing for 2 decades. I've actually been in tech for 13 years, which is still a long time, but it just feels so much longer.
Yet no gray hair yet.
Yeah.
Until we bring you back, we'll probably have a couple of grays coming up on the top. All right. If there was one mega rich entrepreneur or sports celebrity you could hang with for a full 24 hours, who would it be?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Absolutely. Yep. Sean Carter. I would spend the whole day with that man.
I love that. All right,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Stuck on an island. This might tie into the next question. Stuck on an island. You got one album. What is it?
Bob Marley.
Legend.
Legend.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. When people ask me that question, I always kind of think of my Spotify. Like, there's certain zones I go into when I'm writing, when I'm masterminding, whatever I'm doing, and it's like, I need this music for that. And for me, it can be, I go from Sade to Metallica. All right. Epic Magazine. It's coming out this fall. I'm putting you on the cover. What does the caption say?
Started from the bottom.
Started from the bottom, and now we're at the top. I love that, man. That didn't take long at all for you to think that went through. All right, Sergio, I want you to stare into camera one. There are a lot of young guns, a lot of young peeps, some that are falling, some that are thinking that I want to do this. I've got an idea. I need some motivation. I love it when I have people reach out to me and say, EP, thanks for talking about that today. Thanks for covering that today. Thanks for having that guy on the show today. That really inspired me to do XYZ. For me, it doesn't get any better than that. So there are people out there listening to Sercio and they want to take the jump. What's some advice that you can give them?
Sell it before you build it. I would say if you have an idea, try to find somebody that's going to buy your idea and build the best product that you can and get it to them, or sell the concept before you build it. Because if I've seen people build and then try to sell, and it takes such a long time to do that. That would be my if you can do that. Some technology you just cannot, you have to build. But if it's something around sales, marketing, you could definitely do it that way.
I like that. And I'm just going to add just a little snippet to the end of that, which is get in front of some critics. Don't just do it with your family members and your closest friends and coworkers. Get in front of some people that are critics, where you're like, I want to see them punch holes in this. I do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
Just from an my advisory board,
yeah.
Don't expect you're going to hear everything that you're going to want to hear. You're going to hear things you don't want to hear. And it's up to you on what you do with that kind of commentary or thought. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But it's something that I think catches people off guard sometimes. It did for me when somebody brought something up that totally wasn't what I was thinking. But it makes you think it's this mental wrestling that you do that I think this advisors bring to the table that's really valuable. Whether it's an idea that you are not thinking about or something contrary to the way you're thinking.
Right. And as a business owner, just some advice out there, and I know you've seen this because we both shared working for a fearless leader. Again, we'll give him some props, Donnelly. Challenge your team when you're on an all hands call. Challenge them to challenge you or the statement or the vision or the direction. If everybody is saying yes and I like that and everyone's clapping, something's wrong, dude. You got to change it. Take it, just like put it in reverse and say, guys, I want someone to challenge this. I'm going to wait for somebody that hasn't talked yet. I'm going to wait for somebody that's not on camera. Get everybody on camera. Hey, listen, whether we all go back to offices or not, online is not going away. Zoom is not going away. Like a lot of us love the environment that we're in right now.
Yep.
I just told somebody last night, I work more than I've ever worked before. It's because it's convenient for me to wake up and walk a few steps to the office and not have to run to an airport. Now, when I travel, a whole different story. But the point is, challenge your people to get a voice in the company, especially at the stage that you're at. I know you already know that. I'm just throwing that out there. Seriously, last question of the day, man. Epic experience. Have you enjoyed it today?
It was phenomenal. I really did. I think this is a great forum for people to communicate on, and you're bringing something special to the table. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I know you are tapped into a vast network of other startup founders, owners. Tell them about EP, tell them about Epic Starts. I appreciate that love. How do people follow you? What do you got going for social media? Obviously, you're on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Throw some plugs out.
LinkedIn is my main source right now of all interactions. I have not blurred the lines between my Facebook and Instagram. I kind of keep those separate. But if you want to be my friend, those are all open. And if you want to be my friend on LinkedIn, let's do it.
Website?
Amped, mktg.com.
So it's amped, AMPED, MKTG.com. Okay, got the amped marketing brief. Okay, awesome. So now you guys know how to follow him. Just like that, we're like out of time, which means that Sercio, I got to get you back. And when I do bring you back, I want to bring you back after you've gotten some nice announcement on some funds.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you and Scott back. Let's get both of you on here because Scott is a character. Yes. Scott is a personality. I think if all three of us are on the show, I'm going to have a hard time getting any words in. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So you down with that?
I'm down. I think there's some Luis Madrigal, who's VP of IT for Cookies, would be a great guest for you. I think he has a great background, great story. Maybe that might do something for your engineering side too. So
all right, Luis, you heard it right there. Sercio is calling you out. He's paying it forward, and sending you to Epic Starts.
We'll call them out on the LinkedIn post. Okay.
I love it. All right, guys. 3, 2, 1. It's time to grab Lou and start skipping out of here. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's show. I know I sure as heck did. It was great having Sercio Campos on here. Listen, if you enjoyed it, just keep us going and get some good momentum and some vibes out there. Do us a favor. 2 things I need you to do. Click, click, click. That would be 3. I need you to subscribe. I need you to like. And the third thing to click is go tell someone. Use that thing called LinkedIn. Go out, use social media, tell people about Epic Starts to keep us up and going. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Epic Starts with EP, Epic Starts with EP, and just about all social media. Yeah, even TikTok. I got lots of cool vids. All these shows I go to, I'm trying to find the trendiest, the hottest game changers, and movers and shakers in the industry that are coming around the corner, usually predominantly in tech, but sometimes we get them outside of that as well. And I'm trying to bring it to you guys and for you to kind of sit back and see the trends of what it takes to be successful as a startup owner. It's not easy, but if you got the grit and you got the grind like this guy right here, maybe you can be a successful startup right around the bend. All right. So with that, guys, remember, everything epic starts with EP. I'll see you guys all real soon.